Hi, before we move on towards the video, I just want to apologize real quick. Sorry for being a little bit slow on the upload here. I did try to do it like 2 nights ago, but there was a client issue in which it forced me to download CN clients, and you know, with the CN restrictions, there's nothing I can do about that. There's some videos here that are used within from other people. They'll be down in the description. Sorry, I'll apologize first because I can only do test server on my phone and not on my PC. That means I can't really, you know, like control 2 accounts at once. So of course, please do check out Identity News, which is @IDVClue on Twitter/X. You know, there are some other content creators that went on to their Twitter account to check for news and subs. Do make sure to give him a follow. And for Xiaomumu here, this is his YouTube channel from CN server as well. I usually take a lot of things from him as well from time to time, so do check him out as well if I'm ever late. But let's move on towards the video. So the first nerf is for Weeping Clown. Weeping Clown will be receiving a decoding speed reduction from 10% to 15%. Here's the side-by-side comparison between normal server and test server. Okay, now let's look at Prospector. So Prospector's magnet charging time has been increased from 60 seconds to 70 seconds. Let's have a side-by-side comparison here. Now then, let's move on to Mechanic. Mechanic has received major buffs as well, and the first buff we're going to talk about is about her decoding speed reduction that's caused by her external trait Cowardly has been decreased from 35 to 25%. So that simply just means you can now decode faster even when survivors are injured. So let's have a side-to-side comparison right now. Okay, the next major buff for Mechanic is her depletion of the doll has been reduced from 0.56 per second to 0.5% per second, and when downed or on rocket share, the durability of depletion has been reduced from 0.83% per second to 0.75. Now, the other part of this is actually the fact that her decoding speed reduction of doll has been increased from 10% to 16%. So now the doll actually decodes 16% faster, but if you watch the video right now at by 500 speed, this mech's doll still decodes more after the buff. So this is more or less of, you know, this is actually a complete buff instead of a, you know, adjustment or a nerf. Mech's doll can now stay for longer, which means she can decode even more, even with the 16% decoding debuff. Okay, now then, we're going to be able to see huge buffs here coming for Puppeteer. So Puppeteer now can tank 1.5 of damage when he's in his little Lewis form. So as we can see here, we're going to use it. We're going to be able to tank our first damage, but we're still in puppet form. But if we take the next damage here, you will be able to receive that half health hit. So try your best to actually not to take 2 hits here from the Hunter during the Lewis form, but of course you still gain your movement speed boost here, as you do see as well from flexible joints. Now, okay, so here we can see little Lewis body blocking or just blocking 1 full damage of Joseph. So as you can see here, before the nerf and after the nerf, the difference is quite huge. Now, for Hermit against Puppeteer, Puppeteer can actually tank 1 full damage, so that just means that Selfless will not apply here until your full damage is basically broken up, as you can see in this clip. So this is very, very, very good buff here for Puppeteer. But as you can see, even when survivors take damage while you're in Little Lewis form, it will not fully block the damage. Since we do not have test server, which means I can't go on my PC, this is the difference between healing Puppeteer before the buff and after the buff. As you can see, it was initially 20% and now it has been decreased to 10%. Now let's look at Faro Lady's buff. So for Faro Lady, the cooldown time for a cloak will vary between, you know, the cumulative duration of the previous cloak. This means that if you actually get hit early, you won't necessarily have 40-second cooldown, as you can see here on the side-by-side comparison. What is Faro Lady's next very big major buff? It's the fact that now, when Faro Lady is during cloak form, the hunter cannot hear Faro Lady's footstep, neither can the hunter hear the cane being activated, neither can the hunter see the cane being activated. So we will be looking on the normal server for now before the buff. As you can see here, you can actually hear Faro Lady walking and of course utilizing her cane and hearing the cane. But in this case scenario, after the buff, you can now not hear Faro Lady when you are the hunter and when she's invisible, and you cannot see Faro Lady utilizing her cane. So now she's really strong of a character. But of course, the big major thing is the fact that this is more or less of a nerf. When you're hit during borrowed time phase, your cloak cooldown does not go down. This simply just means that, you know, hey, before this nerf, your cloak cooldown can deplete during Titan. After the nerf, it won't deplete anymore, as you can see here between a comparison. Geisha did receive a nerf. Her dash cooldown is increased from 8 seconds to 9 seconds. Okay, so for Axewi's first major buff, it's the fact that he can now have 6 initial numbers of trees instead of 5. So as we can see here on the map, there's only 5 before the buff, so 1 over there, 2, 3 where the Cypher Machine showed us, 4, and then 5. We should be able to see 6 trees being planted in this map. So let's count. There's 1 next to us, 2 by Shack, 3 by Broken Hush, 4 by Beach, 5 in the middle, and then you can see the 6th one is over there by Big Bosch. And of course, Axewi's next big major buff is actually his Restful Road. As you can see here, this is the wish before the buff. Now let's see the wish after the buff. Now, this is the exact wish after the 50% buff for his Restful Road. As you can see here, this is actually really big, and you can kind of just glide around in here pretty easily too. For Axewi, they also optimized the relative positions of 2 resentful souls following a survivor to reduce selection errors. It's more or less just a really good optimization here as well for Axewi. Nightmare also received big buffs. So for Nightmare's first buff, he does have a poaching in which it increases his movement speed by 10%, but now that'll be increased to 13% and it will rapidly decrease to 0 when entering Pursuit stage. Another buff is that they've actually increased the pallet destroying speed for Nightmare. And the last nerf for Nightmare is that the cooldown time for Bad Omen, which is his teleportation, will be increased from 50 seconds to 57 seconds. So here's a classical and prime example of revelation. When you get pallets on, you get this revelation effect in which if you try to dash over the pallet, the next time you will not get pallets on, but instead you'll break the pallet and hit the survivor, as you can see in this case scenario. You break the pallet and you hit the survivor. Now as you can see on your top right, top left as well, revelation effect has disappeared. That's because you need to be stunned beforehand for it to be activated. So if we just see this one more time and we try dash over, you will get pallet stunned and the pallet will not be broken. So this is kind of the new thing of revelation effect. And that will be the end of season 32 character adjustment. Sorry I was a little bit late on this. For the test server there were some errors in which it forced me to download the CN server one. Don't ask me why. I did try contacting NetEase, but you know, it's Saturday and Sunday, so I let them have their rest really. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I spent 8 hours trying to fix the client issue and another 4 hours recording and editing. So if you like, please drop a sub and, you know, like the video if you want to. But that's gonna be it for me today. What are your thoughts on the character adjustments for season 32? Well, we're moving on to season 33, but of course, that's gonna be it from me. Thank you, Sugar Runs. Bye bye for now.